And we are live. Apollo, I want to talk, we'll introduce our players, their locations, and I want to talk a little bit about Daybreak and what you think both players' chances are on this map. So we get started in the northeast and in the southwest position as the blue Zerg from Dignitas.JonnyREcco.
Ask away, DJ Weed.
All right, so here we are on Daybreak. You know, based off of what we've seen so far, JonnyREcco obviously liking to take it into the mid and late game where he feels more comfortable. Where we've got Keen, who tries to go for that constant aggression. Daybreak, a much larger map, and traditionally when people think of Zerg late game, I feel like a lot of people think about Daybreak because we see it an awful lot. But what are your thoughts as we get started here and we see the opening moves of these two players in this game of chess? What do you think about their chances here on Daybreak?
Well, I'm just looking at JonnyREcco to begin this off with. I think that he'll most likely play a very similar style to what we've seen throughout. Just very standard, very much so the same play that Vortex has used throughout the IEM tournament, where he will go for 4 queens, opt for those double upgrades nice and early on to really focus for the later stages. One thing though that will happen on Daybreak is he'll change one little thing, is just not get that hive as fast, make sure he does have the infestors out with pathogen glands ready to rock and roll, because that was the one big mistake in that previous game, which he got caught with his pants down, because of course Keen noticed, took full advantage when he saw that there was nothing there, and never let go of the aggression. For Keen though, looking over for Keen, 1 Barracks Command Center, very standard to do on Daybreak, and I think he may opt for the Banshee Hellion build once again.
Yeah.
Because with the Banshee Hellion, it is actually smart to do that compared to Entombed Valley, because it is easier for Zerg to defend on this map than it is in Entombed Valley, so you actually do need to invest a little bit more to get results compared to Entombed.
And this drone's going to get caught inside the main base, so he's not going to be able to stop the inevitable command center that's going to be coming, but he delayed that just a little bit to get that down. Hatchery is there, and the pool has, of course, gone down, so you can see that opening build for JonnyREcco, pretty much standard as you would expect. And we'll see the gas steal come out here by JonnyREcco. Not much else he can do with that drone at this point. And there, the SCV returns back and builds the command center on the low ground.
That's really going to limit, you know, Keen's options here and may push him down into a 3rd command center earlier on. If JonnyREcco keeps on stealing that, that'll mean that he'll know that Club Banshee is not really a possible follow-up here, and that the Reactor Hellions will be a little bit delayed as well because of the lack of double gas initially. So it is a nice little thing to do by JonnyREcco to get that drone in there to do this, and it will pay off for him.
So will he get another cancel and to rebuild? He does. Second Marine's going to come up here, and eventually the DPS will outdo that extractor in terms of building. But are we going to see, I mean, we typically at this point, as you mentioned, you know, we'd expect to see that factory kind of already down. So that did delay Keen by just a little bit. He's only gotten about 50 gas here out of this first refinery. So he is going to be just a little bit behind on there. And what is his reaction? Well, at least taking the tower with his Marines. Don't expect him to move forward with any additional aggression, but he can if he chooses to. And there the refinery does go down for Keen. Now in the grand scheme of things, playing that safe game to the late game, you know, when then does JonnyREcco want to be thinking about his 3rd? And consequently, the same thing for Keen.
Well, it looks like JonnyREcco will take his at the same time he usually does. As these 4 queens pop out, he starts to spread creep and will start to move down there. But looking over to Keen here, is that he actually went for the reactor first before the factory, and JonnyREcco did spot that. So with the factory, that seems to be the factory will be for tanks early on. I doubt it will be for Reactor Hellion initially, or even over to Club Banshee, and a 3rd command center maybe resort of this. And the reactor will be using the barracks for those Marines, factory straight into... It could be Club Banshee alone, but I think that if he's going to play it out similar to the success he had in the last game, it'll be a 3rd command center and then early tanks.
And I love this move from Keen here, building the bunker and also taking out an Overlord that was heading up past the 3rd with his Marines. He uses another SCV to try to go in for a scout. He's not going to get very far, but he doesn't see much in terms of defense right there. More importantly, this is going to be a pain in the ass for JonnyREcco to actually deal with this. More or less, it'll stop that 3rd hatchery from coming down fairly quick, and now we have the starport loading up. There's the tech lab and the third command center coming. So, you know, does he go for a Banshee play again like he originally said when he started?
Yeah, it looks like that's what it's going to be here, but I really do like this bunker placement here. As you talked about with the 3 Marines, he could actually get another Overlord. He is going to get another Overlord.
Oh my god, he is going to get it.
He'll get out the bunker and go kill it.
Well, he should. There he goes.
Nice.
Ouch.
That's nice. But yeah, JonnyREcco really slowed down now. Third hatchery inside the main base is a macro hatch rather than an economy focus hatchery. And we are going to see delayed Club Banshees come out here, which is going to be really effective to hammer down once again on the economy to really kick Johnny as he's down. And with this third command center by Keen, it's going to be looking really good for his own economy.
And there's a scan inside the main base of JonnyREcco for Keen. Get a good idea on exactly what is going on. So far, I mean, look at how blind JonnyREcco is at this point, knowing just what is inside the main base. But beyond that, the infrastructure is pretty much it's a mystery to him. He's got the 3 racks, the factory, and the starport, and that Cloak Banshee is coming out and on its way. That bunker is still managed to stop that third, but here come 2 queens and a bunch of Zerglings set up to hopefully take that down and get that third hatch started.
Yeah, because this is really late. Considering the usual time for JonnyREcco to take that third base is 6 minutes, and we're now looking at 9. So 3 minutes delayed just because of that bunker there. And it even gets a salvage on it. 2 Marines will hug the mineral line to do as much damage as possible. 1 Ling does go down for their trouble. So nice little opening here. And the Club Banshees, really sneaky from Keen, is going to hold 2 Banshees together and then is going to try to sneak them around to that third base and be like, surprise, Cloak, let's bring down that hatchery as soon as possible.
Now, let's go back to the hatchery for a moment. Delayed by 3 minutes, like you said. What sort of new opportunities do you feel like this introduces to Keen as a result of that hatchery being a little bit late?
It means that there's going to be a lot more units out on the map, so he has to be very careful with ground units, which why he won't ever be aggressive with more Hellions or anything along these lines. Because if you think about it, they've been delayed for 3 minutes. What are you meant to be building in those 3 minutes is drones, which you would put on that third base. But if it's delayed by 3 minutes, that's obviously going to be units or just empty lava. So he knows that there's going to be a lot of Lings on the map, which there are a lot of Lings. And him comes the Banshees. And there is not an Overlord close. Oh, there is one right there. So he can morph straight in, but he's going to get Queen kills at least.
Yeah, he's going to get him. Number 1 goes down. He's trying to get in that Overlord right away. Lair is at the natural here. And another Queen is going to fall. And each one that goes is pretty rough. There's actually a Transfuse. And that Queen has the most energy, so she'll get focused down. So far, these Banshees have been ultra effective. There we see the Overseer come into play, but it won't matter. Those Banshees will both survive, and now there's literally nothing here except for this Spore that is building, and drones are falling. Very, very nice play there by Keen.
And this game is starting to leave JonnyREcco's grasp at the moment, with Queens going down left and right. Draws 26 drones in the production tab. Good God, that's a lot of drones coming down there. But more and more are falling, as up to 10 have killed so far, 4 Queens or so on. And these Banshees have just been magnificent here for Keen.
He does lose 1 Banshee, but the amount of kills that have set out between those 2, quite nice, including the Queen kills. The 3rd command center is moving over to try to plant itself, but 2 Zerglings, and of course the creep will stop it. However, Keen, who at this point in the game, obviously sitting with a bunch of Marines and his tanks, going to be able to clear that out and could potentially move forward for another attack. Now, at this point, we do see the double engineering bays are down, so he's going for that upgrade focused bio build that we've seen out of him before. Already getting that armory, which was a mistake out of Keen in one of the previous games, so he'll be quite ready for that 2-2 as it's coming. Now, on JonnyREcco's side, he's already got his 2-2. Having that delayed third a little bit, he is going Hive already, and he started that at his natural.
Yeah, Hive down, not as early as before, 13 minutes considering the pressures come on is okay. The Banshee picking up more kills. Infestor's going to use energy, just 1 down so far, doesn't want to use any more. But right now, Keen has this push set up, a very weak one. Combat Shield's not done yet, only a tank, just getting rid of some creatures, putting the pressure on to JonnyREcco. Does not want to get caught by a fungal, of course. And he has to be very careful. He can pick up and just leave home. This is exactly what, of course, he should have done on Antigua Shipyard. Now doing it, things looking pretty smart, pretty smooth so far for MVP Keen.
Now, should Keen really be looking at some drop play here. Again, you know, finding himself in a position where you don't really want to attack in a huge wall of infestors. Obviously, the infestors are out to be able to defend against that thing, but even a multi-pronged drop or taking out, like, for example, this northwest fourth seem definitely to be in the order of business that of things he could do. We do have a Ling run by here into the third, and there's virtually no defense here, just a few Marines that are coming out, and there is a bunker that they can fall back to. It looks like they will manage to hold this off, running to the safety of the bunker while that northwest base has been canceled.
It has, and is JonnyREcco going to look to try to catch this army as it retreats back? He's losing creature tumors as well here, but he does have a very early Spire coming down, ready for that greater Spire. So far, Keen's played this out rather well, and should be aiming for that fourth command center to take the middle ground very, very shortly here. With 2-2 on the way, Keen has to play this very cautiously. Is he going to be able to escape with his army, or is it going to get caught off guard now? Which JonnyREcco should be looking to stamp on as it's on siege. Sends in a Ling to scout. The Ling scouts this army, and he's going to go for it.
Oh, he is, and he's about ready to hit 3-3 as well, but he's going to go in for that hits. The Fungals need to go down here, and nice spread of the Fungals on these Marines. A very, very phenomenal exchange here. Another one is going to go down. More Lings to clean this up, and that leaves the Medivacs. Does he go ahead and take those out as well? We have another force moving forwards here, so he's got to be very, very careful. He does not want to get those tanks sieged up in his vicinity, and the Marines are going to be making their way back. So there's another scan to see where his opponent is, and Keen is just going to keep up this aggression.
Yeah, constant pressure. Oh, the Infestor's got to be careful here. He can turn around and just fungal everything. He does get fungal on 2 of the tanks, and here come the Lings.
Oh, very nice. He does get a good amount of army right there. The Marines will do a good job on those Lings, but those Lings will be 3-3 soon. Right now, Keen waiting for his 2-2 to pop. Of course, a bit ahead in the upgrades is JonnyREcco, and now he's making his way to Greater Spire Tech. He's got several Corruptors out, and, you know, will Keen find himself in another position where really he just couldn't make any more Vikings because the Corruptors were such a big problem. We've got Keen making his way through the middle of the map now, and with this new base going up here in the south position for JonnyREcco, it's going to be easy for the Terran player to assault.
Yeah, and he's going to go as long as he spreads out. This is right before Brutals are ready, so this base is naked, it's exposed, and JonnyREcco is going to lose it no matter what. He retreats without losing any units, just doesn't want to waste units on something he cannot defend. One thing, though, I'm noticing is that only just now as the Vikings coming out, he has seen Corruptors for the very first time just now, and is starting that Viking production and will once again retreat back to his planetary fortress, back to this rich Vespian geyser.
Now, I wonder if JonnyREcco is going to try to get that base up again, or if he'll just focus all of his efforts on that northwest base. Right now, I mean, Keen has the ability to maneuver through the middle now that the rocks are down. But there's a huge scan that will reveal everything that JonnyREcco is currently ready to fight with.
And Keen is just keeping the economy really low for JonnyREcco by killing his fourth base over and over, looking to trade cost efficiently because he's on 4 bases here. So absolutely wants to take a fight, and his spread is magnificent this time. Look at that art from Keen. A lot of units here, just needs to thin out the Marine lines, picks off an Infestor for free on the left-hand side, even a couple of drone kills too, and Keen is just, you know, playing with his food.
Yeah, he really is there. He's going to move this whole entire arm of this army forward just a little bit. He's trying to get in a position where he can still do some damage to those broods, but the Queen's also getting some transfused as well. Of course, the tank's not helping out as the broodlings just pound on the Marines there. And now we're seeing those Medivacs go down yet again, and JonnyREcco finds himself in a very similar situation than he did on the game on Cloud Kingdom now. And here we have another hug of the Zerglings here as the Broodlord tried to move up into position. The Vikings are out, but they're just simply not enough.
Oh, and 4 Lings trying to sprint towards the Infestors does not work. And it looks like Keen will have to resort to going home, to picking up the Viking count, Medivac count, as he does have 2 starports, one at the south side without a reactor, so he's only building 3 Medivacs at a time, and is squeezing out 3 Medivacs before he goes back over to Vikings. And this is again is a perfect time for Keen to start dropping. The main base is very much so exposed. The 4th base is not so much, of course, with JonnyREcco's army there ready and waiting, and Keen is going to drop that main base DJ Wheat. This is exactly what he needs to do now that that creep has started to disappear at the south side, and he avoids it. Sends a 1 Marine to check where the creep is, to then avoid any detection to hit the main base really, really hard.
Yeah, and here comes a big drop. This actually could do a ton of damage. Now, where is the infrastructure? Inside the main base, believe it or not, there's not much. The infestation pit, the Greater Spire, is outside. So, while a lot of damage could potentially be done here, it's not necessarily the damage I think that Keen wants to do.
If only the infrastructure was there. He's going to get the spawning port, which of course helps a little bit. He also is running a bunch of... Oh my god, the infestor's in the middle. So very close to losing them all there, but he did fungal in the nick of time. JonnyREcco caught just moving down to deal with this units in the main, which he still hasn't dealt with. But 3-3 is now ready for these Marines in a few seconds' time, and that will make this army once again very, very strong. Keen going to head out north with another medivac to drop that back potential 4th base once again. And let's have a look at the Viking count, though, at 1 with medivacs on the way.
Yeah, that's a little scary. And again, that is the position that Keen put himself in before. Does he have more than one starport at this point? I just see the 1 right now. Unless there's... No, there's a second one coming.
What I think that Keen may be doing is actually not building Vikings ever and going over to Ghost production. And not to snipe as we used to know snipes and love them for, but yeah, there's the Ghost coming out. He's actually going to try and cloak and EMP the Infestors. Remember, without Infestors, there's no protection for Broodlord, so if he gets underneath them, that would be amazing. And right now we do see Keen dropping the main base as well.
Yeah, he's going to drop at least to try to get rid of these 2 hatcheries and eliminate that. He might also be able to move then into the natural, where really the heart and the meat of JonnyREcco's main base is. He takes out 1 hatchery, going for the second one, and this is a very, very slow moving army heading over to try to defend this. At least they could get rid of that medevac right there. The Infestor's coming in too, and he does land a fungal and a couple of infested Terrans, so believe it or not, holding us off quite well. Unfortunately, without that spawning pool, you know, he's got to defend with the Infestors and the infested Terrans, and that's not a great way to be battling these units.
No, it's not a great use of energy either, and right now Marines are moving to the north side stim up, but this will be meted by the Brutal army. If only JonnyREcco knew that he wasn't fighting against Vikings, he would get rid of the Corruptors just to order Brutal Lords all the time, just make a massive damage output army, and this is going to be very interesting. Another drop to the main base here. This is the Keen that we need to see on Daybreak to clear this up if he wants to win this, and he's doing it excellently.
Now, I wonder what he's going to do, if he's just going to go ahead and stim right down to the bottom. If he takes out the Hive or manages to get the Greater Spire, he could single-handedly turn this game around in a major way. And here he's just going to go after eggs. Well, he's going to make his way through. There he takes out the extractor, and there's the scan. A bunch of Zerglings are coming out, but he should be able to handle those no problem. Another force is going to that northwest base as well. And a lot of units being thrown at this problem. He's just going to pick it back up, but I think he's going to lose this hatchery in the northwest.
Yeah, he will. This is really nice play here, playing JonnyREcco like a yo-yo at the moment. He's up and down consistently, and that's exactly what Keen needs to do. Even Nuke's in production now. Look at Keen just trying to zone out the rest of the map. And to be honest, if he's going to keep Thors in his army composition, if he keeps them and keeps them rolling out, he needs to get the plating to make them stronger, because they're great DPS but very weak units actually. But he hasn't got more than 2, so that makes a lot more sense that he hasn't got that upgrade. But a lot of starports coming down, and we actually could see Ravens potentially play a game or play a factor in this game.
Here comes another drop into the main. Now there's nothing here to actually see it at the front. Some Banelings are morphing over here in the side so that he can actually try to get some solid hits here. There's the scan. The Zergling's quick to react, and he's going to go after that Baneling nest. He's just going to try to get at whatever he can at this point. There the Banelings come in for some big hits. There is a pickup, but this relentless aggression coming out here by Keen. He's going to see that Greater Spire, but he's just going to park those medevacs, which makes it even more of a pain in the ass. And look at the Corruptor count, Apollo.
JonnyREcco's had enough, did you eat? He's going to actually take a fight here. Cloak is initiated. He's heading straight for those Infestors.
He is looking for the EMP. Where is it? He's just going to snipe him at first and an EMP. That's going to let him go forward. There's still a few Fungals left standing right there.
Yeah, really nice use of Ghosts here.
There it is. Interesting. Wow. And he's sniping all the Infestors. Oh my god, and now the nuke's going down. Oh my god, Keen, you're a beast.
Yeah, look at this, and the middle base is evacuated immediately. Nice zoning out of the army. Is going to move his army to the north now as well. 3 nukes do land. Pretty wasteful nukes. Looks pretty on the minimap, but on the mini.
Attacking the natural. The infestation pit is very, very low. There is a second spire up, but right now +3 carapace on that greater spire. Is he gonna? He just needs to at least focus down that infestation pit. Now he's going after the greater spire.
He is indeed, and this is looking really, really nice here for Keen, who brashes down another hatchery. The Greater Spire is being targeted down here. Infested Terran's call to action. If only the Marines focus down the Greater Spire, but Keen is so focused with his actual army. There are so many Broodlords here, and they have a great position. The Greater Spire will live, DJW, but Keen is actually going to try to bring down another hatchery, and JonnyREcco's economy has gone down the loop.
And we are going to have him attack. There a lot of drones are going to fall as well. More Marines are coming. The Greater Spire has fallen. And suddenly JonnyREcco in a terrible position. The nukes are going out everywhere.
Is he going to hit the Ghost dies at the last second before the nuke was actually launched. But JonnyREcco's army seems unbeatable at the moment. What really can Keen do? He has SCVs for some reason on the natural. I thought they were Marines. Back at home, Keen has Marines and Ghosts again. Is he going to actually be able to bring these Broodlords down? Because there's no economy for JonnyREcco, but his army is ever so strong.
Now, JonnyREcco, I don't think restarted his Greater Spire. Instead, just went for that +3, knowing the army that he's got. The moment that he gets +3 on all these air units, going to be sitting in a good position. There are still 7 infestors out on the field, and the Ghosts are ready for them. But watch out, those Zerglings. Is he going to land that EMP? Oh, the Ghosts need to cloak up, but there's Overseers there, and all the Ghosts are just going to completely get shut down.
This is really bad, especially because the Infestors are starting to build their energy back up. The stim runs out, Infestors chasing down, and just with a Ghost Marine army, this is so intense. He has to kill the Infestors. If he doesn't, then it's going to be game over because the Marines cannot fight against this.
No, they cannot. The Infestors dropping a few more fungals. He's going to try to bring those Marines back. He's got to avoid that nuke that he just threw down, but right now there's literally very little income coming in right now, mostly long distance mining, a few mineral patches left over, and another engagement here at the front, mostly Marines. The Infestors are starting to go down, but the amount of Corruptors and Broodlords are still so great in numbers that
it's too strong.
Yeah.
It's too strong, and Marines are just dying now, and the Broodlords are untouched. A nuke is kind of the only thing that can win this game, and it gets picked off immediately. A nice EMP on one Infestor, but still 3 or 4 remain, and Keen, despite having the money of the world right now, just can't build the right army.
He cannot, and he took a risk with what he decided to go with in terms of his composition. Unfortunately, that risk did not pay off, and eventually JonnyREcco able to just build and build and build and build. Right now, sitting in a 160 supply, still zoning with those nukes, but it's not even going to matter because the position or the position options here for JonnyREcco are aplenty. And now more Marines from the back, but it really does not matter. He is going to stop another hatchery from going up. But honestly, I think that even if he never mined again, then right now JonnyREcco has what it takes to just go ahead and finish this game. There's just one mining base in the southeast, and that can easily be taken out.
And this army just isn't stoppable with Infestors underneath. Even though he doesn't really have any, he has 6 overall, so it's still a decent amount. He doesn't have a heavy amount, but 6 is good. Corruptors are never going to allow Vikings to come in this game, so as long as JonnyREcco just doesn't mess up his army, we will be going to the 7th game here, DJ Weed, as another nuke is the only way. If he lands a nuke to kill this army, it's the only way.
Yeah, and honestly, it would just be ridiculous if it actually happened. I just can't see it happening. There's Overseers in that army. There's 3 of them now. They've not been getting focused down at all. One potential Ghost over here possibly trying to go for a nuke, but I mean, there's the scans, and every single scans has to be getting Keen that much more nervous every single time he sees it. Eventually, he's going to be able to push forward here. Just look at the army. Right now, the army tab shows that it's 145 to 65, and as you mentioned, a nuke is about the only thing that could equalize.
And JonnyREcco is even mining from bases now. He has Ultralisk coming out too, so he's actually back to having an income. He's back to 200 supply, and Keen is going to make his last stance, I feel, in this game as he moves out, but he has no answer. There's nothing really he can do.
Yeah, and there's another nuke going down, but the Ghost quickly falls. And as you mentioned, trying to go after those Infestors, and there it is, GG, trying to go after those Infestors.